There comes a moment in a person's life when prayer stops sounding like desperation and begins to sound like authority. There comes a moment when you no longer approach life as someone begging at the door of possibility, but as someone who finally remembers who created them, who sustains them, and what kind of power has been placed inside their words. And maybe that moment is happening for you right now, because there is a reason you clicked on this message. Something inside you is tired of asking with fear, tired of praying with anxiety, tired of repeating the same hopes with a hidden belief that nothing will really change. And today, something in your spirit is being awakened. Stop asking. Start declaring. Not because asking is wrong, not because prayer has no value, but because there is a kind of asking that comes from fear, and there is a kind of declaring that comes from faith. There is a way of speaking that reveals you still believe the answer is far away. And there is a way of speaking that announces your soul has already entered the reality God promised. Before we go deeper, write this in the comments with intention. I declare with faith. Do not write it casually. Write it like a decision. Write it like a line in the sand. Write it like you are telling your mind, your fear, your past, and your circumstances that a new voice is taking authority inside you. I declare with faith, because the words you speak are not just sounds passing through the air. They are spiritual signals. They are mental instructions. They are seeds. They are agreements. And many people are not trapped because they lack potential. They are trapped because their words keep agreeing with the prison. They say, I am trying. They say, I hope someday. They say, maybe if things change. They say, I do not know if I can. And without realizing it, they keep sending instructions to the subconscious mind to remain in the same identity. Napoleon Hill said that thoughts are things. He understood that a thought charged with emotion does not remain invisible forever. It begins to shape decisions. It begins to influence behavior. It begins to attract circumstances. It begins to become life. But what most people miss is this. A declaration is a thought that has been given a voice. And when that voice is mixed with faith, repetition, and emotion, it becomes a command to the deepest part of your being. This is why Scripture says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Not only encouragement and discouragement, not only positivity and negativity, life and death, direction and confusion, expansion and limitation, courage and fear, breakthrough and delay. Your tongue is not a small thing. Your words are not harmless. Your speech is not random. Every day you are either blessing your future or rehearsing your bondage. Every day you are either declaring agreement with God or repeating agreement with fear. And one of the greatest shifts a human being can ever make is the shift from begging life to change to declaring from the inner place where faith is already established. This does not mean you command God. It means you align with what God has already spoken. It means you stop talking like someone abandoned and you begin speaking like someone guided. It means you stop using words to describe your chains and begin using words to unlock your identity. There is a huge difference between saying, God, please make me strong, and declaring, the Lord is my strength and I walk with courage today. There is a huge difference between saying, I hope I survive this, and declaring, I am protected, I am guided, and no fear will rule my mind. There is a huge difference between saying, I want prosperity someday, and declaring, my mind is aligned with wisdom, my hands are prepared for increase, and every good opportunity meant for me is finding its way into my life. The first way speaks from absence. The second way speaks from identity, and identity is the foundation of every transformation. You will never consistently rise above the identity you secretly accept. That is why declarations matter. They are not empty phrases. They are identity instructions. They tell your subconscious mind what to look for. They tell your nervous system how to respond. They tell your spirit what posture to take. They tell your faith where to stand. And they tell your future what kind of person is coming toward it. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. He did not negotiate with darkness. He did not explain to darkness why light would be useful. He did not beg darkness to step aside. He spoke, and what he spoke became visible. Now listen carefully. You were made in the image of the Creator. That does not make you God. But it does mean your words carry creative responsibility. You cannot speak defeat all day and expect your inner world to produce victory. You cannot rehearse scarcity every night and expect your subconscious mind to create abundance. You cannot call yourself weak, unlucky, broken, forgotten, and then wonder why your energy feels heavy. Your inner world is listening. Your body is listening. Your faith is listening. Your future is listening. And something changes when you finally stop using your mouth as a mirror of your fear and begin using it as an instrument of faith. Napoleon Hill taught that the subconscious mind accepts repeated ideas, especially when they are charged with emotion. This is why a person can repeat a lie about themselves for years and begin to live as if it were true. I am not enough. Money is hard. People like me do not succeed. Nothing works for me, I always lose. Every sentence becomes a seed, every seed becomes a belief, every belief becomes a pattern, every pattern becomes a result. And then the person looks at the result and says, "See, I knew it." But they do not realize they have been watering that result with their own words. That cycle can be broken. It is broken when you interrupt the old voice and replace it with a higher command. When the mind says, "I cannot do this," you declare, "I am being strengthened for this." When fear says, "This will fail," you declare, "Wisdom is guiding my steps." When shame says, "You are too late," you declare, "God can restore time, direction, and opportunity." When scarcity says there is not enough, you declare, "My source is not limited to what I can see." At first, your declarations may feel unfamiliar. That is normal. A new identity always feels strange to an old pattern. But repetition is how the mind is trained. Faith is how the heart is lifted. Emotion is how the seed goes deeper. And consistency is how the invisible becomes visible. There are people listening right now who have prayed for years, but their inner language has remained unchanged. They pray in the morning but complain all day. They ask God for peace, but rehearse disaster in their imagination. They ask for abundance, but keep declaring lack. They ask for healing, but keep identifying with the wound. They ask for direction, but keep saying, "I am lost," and this is where the shift begins. Your prayer must be supported by your language. Your faith must be supported by your thoughts. Your declaration must be supported by your emotional state. Because a divided inner world produces a divided outer life. You cannot plant one thing with your mouth and water the opposite with your emotions. Jesus said that whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Notice the hidden power in that teaching. Believe that you have received it. Not believe that maybe one day you might receive it. Not believe that it could happen if the world becomes perfect. Believe that you have received it. That is the state of declaration. A declaration speaks from the place of received faith. It does not deny reality. It denies reality the right to define your identity. It says, "Yes, I see the challenge, but I also see the promise. Yes, I feel the pressure, but I also know the source of my strength. Yes, I may be in process, but I refuse to speak as if my current situation is my final destination." This is why declaration is not arrogance. It is spiritual alignment. Arrogance says, "I am powerful without God." Faith says, "I am powerful because God is with me." Arrogance says, "I control everything." Faith says, "I speak in agreement with divine wisdom and I move with obedience." Arrogance forces. Faith aligns. Arrogance needs applause. Faith has quiet certainty. The person who declares from faith does not scream to be believed. They speak from a place that has already been settled inside. And this is the place you are being called into. A settled mind, a steady heart, a tongue trained for life. A spirit that no longer trembles every time circumstances look uncertain. Right now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what have I been declaring without realizing it? What have I been saying about money? What have I been saying about my future? What have I been saying about my body, my family, my work, my purpose, my relationship with God? Because the phrases you repeat casually are often the beliefs ruling you silently. Some people say, "I am just tired," but underneath that, they are declaring, "I have no strength." Some people say, "Nothing ever changes," but underneath that, they are declaring, "My future is trapped in my past." Some people say, "I am bad with money," but underneath that, they are declaring, "I cannot be trusted with increase." Some people say, "I never get opportunities." But underneath that, they are training the mind to ignore doors when they appear. Today that changes, not with noise, not with pressure, not with a temporary emotional high, but with a new spiritual discipline. From this moment on, your mouth becomes a gate, and you do not let every fear pass through it. Your mind becomes a garden, and you do not let every thought take root. Your heart becomes an altar, and you do not offer it to panic. You begin to speak like someone who knows that heaven is listening, your subconscious is listening, and your future is forming. Write this in the comments now, not as a phrase, but as an agreement. My words create my direction. Let that sentence mark this moment. My words create my direction. Because direction matters more than speed. Many people are moving fast in the wrong inner direction. They work hard, but speak defeat. They dream big, but feel unworthy. They plan carefully, but talk like failure is inevitable. And then they wonder why progress feels heavy. Napoleon Hill spoke about definiteness of purpose. A person who does not know where they are going is easily influenced by fear, by criticism, by delay, by circumstances, by other people's opinions. But a person with a definite purpose speaks differently. Their words become focused, their energy becomes organized, their decisions become stronger. Their mind begins to reject what does not match the direction. Declarations help create that definiteness. They gather the scattered energy of the soul and point it toward a chosen reality. That is why a declaration should not be vague. Do not only say, "I want better things." Declare with clarity. I am walking in wisdom. I am guided into right opportunities. I am disciplined with what I have. I am prepared for what is coming. I am becoming the person who can carry the blessing I have asked for. That last one matters deeply, because many people want the blessing, but they have not declared the identity that can sustain it. They want wealth, but still speak irresponsibly about money. They want influence, but still speak carelessly about people. They want peace, but still feed their mind with conflict. They want purpose, but still declare confusion as if it is permanent. God does not only prepare blessings for people, He prepares people for blessings, and your declarations are part of that preparation. When you declare, "I am disciplined," you are not lying. You are giving your mind a direction. When you declare, "I am wise with money," you are not pretending. You are training yourself to notice choices that match wisdom. When you declare, "I am calm under pressure," you are not denying stress. You are teaching your nervous system to follow a higher command. When you declare, "I am led by God," you are not claiming life will have no challenges. You are choosing guidance over panic. The declaration comes first. The behavior follows. The identity deepens. The result begins to change. This is why you must be careful with sentences that begin with "I am." I am is not just grammar. I am is identity. When you say "I am broke," you are not describing a bank account. You are attaching lack to your identity. When you say "I am a failure," you are not describing a moment. You are placing a crown of defeat on your own head. When you say "I am unlucky," you are teaching your mind to expect closed doors. But when you say "I am learning, I am growing, I am guided, I am prepared, I am favored, I am becoming," you begin to separate your identity from your temporary condition. And that separation is powerful. You may have debt, but you are not debt. You may have made mistakes, but you are not a mistake. You may feel fear, but you are not fear. You may be in transition, but you are not lost. You may be delayed, but you are not denied. You may be healing, but you are not broken beyond restoration. Speak to yourself like someone God has not given up on, because He has not. And if God has not given up on you, why are you declaring final defeat over a story He is still writing? There is a reason the enemy of your soul wants your mouth. Because if fear can own your language, it can influence your imagination. If it can influence your imagination, it can shape your emotions. If it can shape your emotions, it can guide your decisions. And if it can guide your decisions, it can keep you repeating cycles that God called you to outgrow. So the battle is not only around you, it is in the words you allow to become normal. That is why a new season often begins with a new vocabulary. You stop saying, "I cannot." You begin saying, "I am learning how." You stop saying, "It is impossible." You begin saying, "God can reveal a way I have not seen yet." You stop saying, "I am behind." You begin saying, I am being prepared with precision. You stop saying, money never stays with me. You begin saying, I am becoming a wise steward of increase. You stop saying, I am afraid of the future. You begin saying, my future is held by the one who guides my steps. This is not motivational decoration. This is spiritual renovation. You are rebuilding the inner language that builds your outer life. And one of the most powerful times to declare is when your mind is quiet. Early in the morning before the world tells you who to be. At night, before sleep carries your thoughts into the subconscious. And in moments of pressure, when your old identity tries to take control. The morning declaration sets direction. The night declaration plants deeply. The pressure declaration proves authority. In the morning you say, this day belongs to God, and my mind is aligned with wisdom, favor, discipline, and peace. At night you say, my subconscious mind receives truth, my spirit rests in God, and while I sleep, my inner world is being renewed. In pressure you say, I do not bow to fear, I am steady, I am guided, and I will respond with wisdom. These moments matter, because the mind is most impressionable when it is transitioning, when it is waking, when it is drifting towards sleep, or when emotion is strong. Most people use these moments against themselves. They wake up and check problems. They go to sleep replaying fear. They face pressure and speak panic. But the person who understands declaration uses these moments as sacred gates. They plant truth before the world plants noise. They speak faith before fear builds a story. They establish identity before circumstances demand a reaction. This is how you stop asking from weakness and start declaring from alignment. Now breathe slowly and let these words enter deeper. I do not chase from fear. I receive through faith. I do not speak against my future. I bless my future with my words. I do not belong to confusion. I am guided by divine wisdom. I do not live under lack. I am learning the laws of stewardship, increase, and overflow. I do not repeat the voice of my past. I declare the truth of who I am becoming. Feel the difference. The energy changes. Your posture changes. Your breathing changes. Your focus changes. Because words are not only heard by the world outside you, they are heard by the world within you. There is an old version of you that survives through repetition. It needs you to keep saying the same things, feeling the same fears, expecting the same outcomes, reacting the same way. But when you declare a higher truth, that old version begins to lose authority. It may resist. It may whisper, this is not true yet. It may say, who do you think you are? It may remind you of every failure. But you answer with faith. I am not declaring what my past proved. I am declaring what God is forming. I am not declaring what fear predicts. I am declaring what faith sees. I am not declaring what my emotions fluctuate around. I am declaring what my spirit is anchored in. This is the difference between emotional speech and spiritual speech. Emotional speech changes with the weather of the day. Spiritual speech stands on truth. Emotional speech says, I feel weak, so I am weak. Spiritual speech says, I feel weak, but the Lord is my strength. Emotional speech says, I do not see a way, so there is no way. Spiritual speech says, I do not see the way yet, but wisdom is being revealed. Emotional speech says, I am afraid, so I will stop. Spiritual speech says, I feel fear, but fear does not decide my obedience. You are allowed to feel. But you are not called to let every feeling become a declaration. Feelings are signals. They are not always instructions. Fear may visit, but it does not get to preach through your mouth. Doubt may knock, but it does not get to write your identity. Discouragement may appear, but it does not get to name your future. You choose what becomes spoken. You choose what becomes planted. You choose what becomes repeated. You choose what becomes believed. And that choice is where power returns. There is someone listening right now who has been using prayer as a place to worry out loud. You speak to God, but instead of releasing fear, you rehearse it. You describe the problem over and over. You explain the impossibility. You repeat the pain. You remind heaven of every reason it cannot work. But faith does not ignore the problem. Faith changes the final authority. Yes, the problem exists, but it is not Lord. Yes, the delay is real, but it is not final. Yes, the door has not opened yet, but God is not out of options. Yes, the mind has been conditioned by years of fear, but it can be renewed. This is why declaration is so powerful after prayer. You pray with honesty, then you declare with faith. You say, Father, I bring this concern to you. And then you declare, I trust your wisdom, I receive your peace, and I walk forward with courage. You say, God, I need provision. And then you declare, I am being guided into wise decisions, right opportunities, and responsible increase. You say, Lord, heal what is wounded in me, and then you declare, I am not my pain, I am being restored, and my heart is becoming whole. Prayer opens the heart. Declaration trains the mind to agree with faith. Both matter, but many people open the heart and then leave the mind untrained. That is why they feel peace for a moment and panic again an hour later. The mind must be renewed, the language must be renewed, the emotional pattern must be renewed, and renewal requires repetition. Napoleon Hill called this auto-suggestion. Scripture calls it meditation. You take a truth and turn it over in your heart until it becomes part of you. You speak it in the morning. You remember it during the day. You whisper it at night. You return to it under pressure. Not because God forgot, but because your mind must be trained to remember. This is how truth moves from information to identity. Many people know powerful truths, but they do not live from them. They know that God provides, but they speak like orphans. They know they are loved, but they speak like rejects. They know faith matters, but they speak like fear is in charge. Knowing is not enough. The truth must be declared until it becomes the atmosphere of your inner world. This is where transformation becomes practical. Choose one area of your life where you have been asking from fear, money, health, family, purpose, confidence, direction, peace. Do not choose everything at once. Choose the place where your words have been weakest. Now create a declaration that agrees with God, trains your mind, and calls you into action. If it is money, declare, I am a wise steward. I receive ideas with gratitude, I act with discipline, and my life is open to honest increase. If it is health, declare, my body is receiving care. My choices are becoming stronger, and I honor the life God has given me. If it is purpose, declare, I am not here by accident. My gifts are being awakened, and I move with clarity, one step at a time. If it is peace, declare, my mind is not a battlefield for fear. My soul rests in God, and I return to calm with every breath. If it is confidence, declare, I do not need permission from my past to become who God is calling me to be. Now notice something. A true declaration does not only speak about receiving, it also speaks about becoming. That is the missing key. Many people declare outcomes, but not transformation. They say, I declare wealth, but they do not declare discipline. They say, I declare success, but they do not declare consistency. They say, I declare peace, but they do not declare forgiveness. They say, I declare purpose, but they do not declare obedience. But the declaration that changes your life must change you. Because God is not only interested in placing something in your hands, He is forming something in your character. So declare the blessing, but also declare the person you are becoming. I am becoming disciplined. I am becoming faithful with small things. I am becoming emotionally steady. I am becoming wise in my decisions. I am becoming generous. I am becoming courageous. I am becoming consistent. I am becoming someone who can carry more without losing my soul. That kind of declaration has weight. It does not just ask for doors, it prepares you to walk through them. And preparation is one of the greatest signs of faith. Noah built before the rain. David practiced before the palace. Joseph stayed faithful before the promotion. Faith does not wait passively. Faith prepares. Faith speaks. Faith acts. Faith becomes. And sometimes the reason the declaration feels delayed is because God is using it to build the person who can embody the answer. So do not only declare, it is mine, declare, I am ready to be shaped for it. Do not only declare, the door opens, declare, I have the wisdom to walk through the right door. Do not only declare, increase is coming, declare, my character grows with my capacity. This is how declaration remains holy. It does not become greed, it does not become ego. It becomes alignment. It becomes a partnership between your faith, your mind, your words, and your obedience. Now, if this message is speaking to something deep inside you, take a moment to like this video. Not as a simple click. Let it be your way of saying, I am choosing a new language for my life. And share this with someone who has been praying from exhaustion, because sometimes one sentence heard at the right moment can turn a whole soul back toward faith. There is another layer here that many people never understand. Declarations are not only for what you want to attract, they are also for what you must renounce. Some things will keep growing until you stop agreeing with them. You must stop agreeing with shame, stop agreeing with lack, stop agreeing with confusion, stop agreeing with fear, stop agreeing with the idea that your family history is your destiny. Stop agreeing with the sentence that says, "This is just how I am." No, you are not required to remain loyal to a version of yourself that was built in survival. You are not required to keep speaking the language of wounds that God is healing. You are not required to carry the vocabulary of people who did not see your future. Some words were spoken over you by pain, some by rejection, some by parents who were wounded themselves, some by teachers, some by failure, some by betrayal, some by your own disappointment. And those words became inner laws. You are not smart enough. You are difficult to love. You will never have enough. You always ruin things. You are alone. You are too damaged. Today, those false laws are being broken by higher declarations. I am taught by wisdom. I am loved by God. I am capable of growth. I am open to restoration. I am not alone. I am not too late. I am not what happened to me. I am not the name fear gave me. I belong to a higher truth. When you speak this way, your inner atmosphere begins to shift. And when your inner atmosphere shifts, you stop tolerating certain thoughts. You stop entertaining certain conversations. You stop walking into rooms with the same small posture. You stop making decisions from panic. You stop confusing familiarity with destiny. This is how a life changes. Not only through one dramatic moment, but through daily spoken alignment, line by line, morning by morning, night by night, choice by choice, word by word. The old house is dismantled. The new life is built. Now, let this become personal. Say within yourself, I cancel agreement with every word that has reduced my identity. I cancel agreement with every sentence that made fear feel normal. I cancel agreement with the belief that I must beg for what God has already given me permission to become. I declare that my mind is being renewed. I declare that my heart is being strengthened. I declare that my words are being purified. I declare that my future is not ruled by my past. I declare that wisdom is rising in me. I declare that faith is becoming my first language. There is a quiet authority in those words. Not loud, not forced, quiet, deep, stable. The kind of authority that does not need to impress anyone. Because the most powerful declarations are not always shouted. Sometimes they are whispered through tears. Sometimes they are spoken beside a bed after a long day. Sometimes they are spoken in a car before a difficult meeting. Sometimes they are spoken in a kitchen while the world believes nothing is changing. But heaven hears. The subconscious hears, the body hears, the future hears, and over time the person speaking begins to become the person declared. This is the hidden miracle. At first you speak the declaration. Then the declaration begins to speak you. It rises in your mind when fear appears. It interrupts old patterns. It reminds you of who you are. It becomes an inner voice stronger than panic. And this is what you need, because life will test every new identity. The moment you start declaring abundance, a bill may appear. The moment you start declaring peace, a conflict may test you. The moment you start declaring discipline, temptation may return. The moment you start declaring courage, an intimidating door may open. Do not take the test as proof that the declaration failed. The test is often where the declaration becomes real. Anyone can declare peace in silence. But when pressure comes and you still choose peace, the declaration has entered your behavior. Anyone can declare prosperity when money is flowing. But when things feel tight and you still choose wisdom instead of despair, the declaration has entered your character. Anyone can declare courage when the path is easy. But when fear is present and you take the next faithful step, the declaration has entered your feet. Faith becomes mature when it survives contradiction. This is why you must not stop declaring just because the outside has not changed yet. Seeds do not become trees because someone checks them every hour. They become trees because they remain planted, watered, and protected. Your declarations are seeds. Your repetition is water. Your faith is sunlight. Your discipline is protection. And the harvest comes through process. One of the most dangerous mistakes people make is speaking life for 2 days and then returning to old language because they did not see instant proof. Do not let impatience steal the seed. The invisible works before the visible confirms. A thought changes before a habit changes. A belief changes before a decision changes. A decision changes before a result changes. The result is not the beginning. The result is the fruit. So stay with the root. Stay with the word, stay with the declaration, stay with the renewed identity, stay with the discipline of speaking what is true even before everything looks transformed. That is faith. Now there is a declaration practice that can reshape the way you begin and end every day. When you wake up, do not reach first for the world. Do not let messages, news, problems, opinions, or comparison be the first voice that enters your mind. Place your hand over your heart. Take a slow breath and declare, "This is the day the Lord has made. My mind is clear, my heart is steady, my words carry life. I am guided into wisdom. I recognize the opportunities prepared for me. I act with courage, discipline, and peace. I do not chase from fear. I move from faith." Then at night before sleep, do not end the day rehearsing what went wrong. Do not hand your subconscious mind a plate of anxiety and expect it to produce rest. Close the day with declaration. Today is complete. I release what I cannot control. I receive correction without shame. I receive rest without guilt. My mind is being renewed as I sleep. My spirit rests in God. Tomorrow I rise with wisdom, strength, and direction. This is simple. But simple does not mean weak. Water is simple. Breath is simple. Light is simple. A seed is simple. The most powerful things in life are often simple when practiced consistently. Now, during the day when pressure comes, use a shorter declaration. I am steady, I am guided. I choose wisdom. Or say, fear is not my master. Faith is my foundation. Or say, I do not react from panic. I respond from peace. These short declarations become anchors. They interrupt emotional storms before they become destructive words. And the more you practice, the faster your inner world returns to alignment. This is how the mind is trained. This is how the tongue is disciplined. This is how faith becomes embodied. You begin to notice the moment a negative sentence wants to come out. You pause, you choose, you replace. That pause is power. The old you speaks automatically. The new you speaks intentionally. The old you repeats fear. The new you declares faith. The old you describes the prison. The new you announces the door. Every time you choose a higher word, you weaken the old pattern. And one day, what once felt forced begins to feel natural. You become someone who speaks life without pretending. You become someone who sees possibility without denying process. You become someone who can face difficulty without surrendering authority. That is the power of declaring. Not magic, not manipulation, not pretending, but faith expressed through disciplined language. Napoleon Hill understood that the mind must be given definite instructions. The subconscious does not move powerfully under vague wishes. It responds to dominant thoughts, repeated ideas, emotional conviction, and clear purpose. So stop giving it confusion. Stop giving it mixed signals. Stop saying, I want success, but I am probably not capable. Stop saying, I want peace, but everything is terrible. Stop saying, I want abundance, but money never comes to me. Stop saying, I trust God, but I am sure nothing will work. Choose your command. Choose your agreement. Choose your identity, and repeat it until the inner world begins to organize around it. Say, I am available for wisdom. I am available for discipline. I am available for healing. I am available for increase. I am available for divine direction. I am available for transformation. I am available for the version of me that no longer begs fear for permission. There is something powerful about availability. Sometimes the reason people stay stuck is not because God is silent, but because their inner life is closed to the instruction that would change them. They ask for breakthrough, but resist discipline. They ask for wealth, but resist stewardship. They ask for peace, but resist forgiveness. They ask for purpose, but resist obedience. So declare not only what you desire, declare your willingness to be led. I am willing to be corrected. I am willing to grow. I am willing to release what weakens me. I am willing to learn what I was never taught. I am willing to become consistent. I am willing to follow divine direction even when my old self wants comfort. This kind of declaration is powerful because it removes inner resistance. It makes you teachable. And a teachable person is never truly stuck. They are always one revelation, one decision, one act of obedience away from movement. Now write this in the comments. I am willing to become who my blessing requires. That sentence is not ordinary. I am willing to become who my blessing requires. Because receiving is one thing, carrying is another, and God is forming carriers. People who do not collapse under pressure. People who do not become arrogant with success. People who do not lose themselves when doors open. People who can receive more and still remain rooted. People who can prosper and still remain generous. People who can lead and still remain humble. People who can be seen and still remain surrendered. This is why your declarations must include the heart. Declare a clean heart. Declare pure motives. Declare humility. Declare wisdom. Declare generosity. Declare emotional maturity. Declare patience. Declare self-control. Because a powerful mouth with an unhealed heart can create damage, but a disciplined tongue connected to a surrendered heart becomes an instrument of blessing. The goal is not just to manifest things. The goal is to become aligned with God so deeply that what flows through you carries life. Prosperity without peace is not true prosperity. Influence without character is dangerous. Success without purpose becomes emptiness. Declarations must be rooted in truth, not vanity. So when you declare abundance, include service. I receive increase so I can create, give, build, bless, and live with purpose. When you declare influence, include humility. I am trusted with influence because I serve with wisdom and integrity. When you declare success, include alignment. I succeed without losing my soul. When you declare open doors, include discernment. I walk only through doors that align with divine purpose. These words protect you. They shape not only what you attract, but how you carry it. Now let us bring this into the deepest place. There is one declaration that stands above many others. I am not alone. For many people, fear grows because they feel alone. They feel they must figure everything out. They must force every door. They must carry every burden. They must heal themselves. They must prove themselves. They must protect themselves. But the soul changes when it remembers. I am not alone. God is with me. Wisdom is available. Grace is present. Strength is being supplied. Guidance is near. This declaration does not remove all difficulty, but it removes the illusion of abandonment. And when abandonment leaves the mind, panic loses much of its power. Say it slowly. I am not alone. I am guided. I am strengthened. I am held. I am being led step by step. Now breathe. Let your body hear that. Let the anxious part of you hear it. Let the younger version of you hear it. Let the wounded places hear it. I am not alone. This is a declaration of spiritual safety, and from safety, the mind can create better. From safety, the heart can heal better. From safety, decisions become clearer. From safety, faith becomes easier to access. Fear makes people beg. Safety helps people declare. When you know you are held by God, you do not have to beg life from a place of panic. You can speak with calm authority. You can say, I do not know every step, but I know I am guided. You can say, I do not see the full provision, but I know wisdom is leading me. You can say, I do not feel perfectly strong, but strength is rising as I move. This is the posture of faith, not frantic, not passive, not arrogant, steady. Now understand this clearly. To stop asking and start declaring does not mean you never ask God for help. It means you stop asking from the identity of helplessness. You ask as a child of God. You ask with trust. You ask with surrender. And then you declare in agreement with faith. A child can ask a loving father without fear, but a child who knows the father is good does not ask like an orphan. That is the difference. The orphan says, maybe I will be ignored. The child says, my father hears me. The orphan says, I must fight alone. The child says, I am led and provided for. The orphan says, there may not be enough. The child says, my source is greater than my situation. So when you pray, pray as a child. When you declare, declare as someone who belongs. Belonging changes everything. The words become steadier. The heart becomes calmer. The future becomes less terrifying. And your life stops being a reaction to fear and becomes a response to divine identity. There will still be work to do. There will still be decisions to make. There will still be habits to change. Declarations do not replace action. They purify the state from which action comes. An action born from fear feels heavy. An action born from faith carries clarity. An action born from desperation tries to force. An action born from alignment knows when to move and when to wait. So declare before you act. Align before you decide. Pray before you speak. Breathe before you react. And let your words create the inner state that allows wise action to emerge. Say, my actions are guided. My discipline is growing. My timing is being refined. My decisions are aligned with wisdom. I do not move from panic. I move from purpose. This is how declaration becomes practical. You speak, then you embody. You declare discipline, then you take the next disciplined step. You declare wisdom, then you seek counsel and make better choices. You declare prosperity, then you manage what you have with honor. You declare healing, then you stop feeding what keeps the wound open. You declare peace, then you stop returning to conversations that poison your spirit. You declare faith, then you obey the instruction God has already given you. Words open the gate, action walks through it. Both are necessary. But the words come first because they establish the inner direction. And right now your direction is changing. Something in you is realizing that you have given too much authority to fear, too much authority to old language, too much authority to circumstances, too much authority to people who spoke from their own limitations. But today a new agreement begins. You will not curse your future with your mouth. You will not call temporary things permanent. You will not speak lack over a mind that is learning abundance. You will not speak defeat over a life that God is still shaping. You will not use your words to strengthen what you are praying to overcome. From this day forward, your language becomes intentional. Your declarations become daily bread. Your faith becomes vocal. Your identity becomes aligned. And your life begins to move in the direction of what you consistently believe, speak, and embody. Now receive these declarations as if they are being planted in the soil of your spirit. I declare that my mind is no longer ruled by fear. I declare that my words carry life, wisdom, and direction. I declare that I am being guided into the right opportunities. I declare that my relationship with money is being healed and renewed. I declare that I am becoming disciplined, focused, and faithful with what is in my hands. I declare that old patterns are losing power over me. I declare that confusion is being replaced by clarity. I declare that anxiety is being replaced by peace. I declare that shame is being replaced by identity. I declare that delay is being used for preparation. I declare that my gifts are awakening. I declare that my heart is healing. I declare that I will not speak against what God is building in me. I declare that I am not abandoned. I am not forgotten. I am not finished. I am being formed. I am being strengthened. I am being led. I am becoming who I was created to be. Let those words stay with you, not as a moment, as a practice, because the person who changes their words changes their focus. The person who changes their focus changes their emotions. The person who changes their emotions changes their choices. The person who changes their choices changes their life. And little by little, the life that once looked impossible begins to feel natural. This is the power of declaring. It brings the future into your identity before it appears in your circumstances. It lets faith speak before evidence arrives. It trains the mind to cooperate with what the Spirit already knows. And it reminds you that your voice is not powerless. Your words are seeds. Your words are keys. Your words are agreements. Your words are directions. Your words are prayers with posture. So stop asking from panic. Start declaring from faith. Stop begging as if you have no source. Start speaking as someone connected to the Creator. Stop repeating the language of the old season. Start declaring the identity of the new one. Stop calling yourself what pain called you. Start calling yourself what God is forming in you. And tonight, before you sleep, do not end the day in fear. End it in declaration. Say, I release this day. I receive peace. My mind is being renewed. My future is being prepared. My words are aligned with faith. God is with me. I rest in trust. And tomorrow, when you wake up, do not let the world name you first. Declare before you scroll. Declare before you worry. Declare before you react. Declare before fear builds a story. Say, I belong to God. I am guided by wisdom. I speak life today. I recognize favor. I move with discipline. I walk in peace. I create with faith. I do not ask from fear. I declare from identity. If this message reached your heart, leave a comment with these words, I declare from identity. Let that be your public agreement with a private transformation. And if you believe this message can help someone stop speaking defeat and start speaking life, like this video, share it with them, and subscribe to this channel. Not just to watch another video, but to keep feeding your mind with faith, wisdom, and the kind of truth that changes the way you think, speak, and live. Remember this, your future is listening to the words you repeat today. Your mind is becoming the home of the ideas you keep feeding. Your faith is strengthened by the declarations you speak with conviction. So speak life, speak wisdom, speak courage, speak abundance with humility, speak healing with patience, speak purpose with obedience, speak peace with authority, and never again forget the truth that brought you here. Stop asking from fear, start declaring with faith. Your words are creating direction, your identity is being renewed, and your life is beginning to answer the voice you choose to believe.